Mac Jones has the New England Patriots competing for first in the AFC. So we basically got 1 year of bad Patriots. That's all good. So we have New England heading to Buffalo. We've got a total of 41 with Buffalo favored by 3 still. So this is a very, very important AFC East game. And you see that the total is a lowly 41, one of those ugly games because these two teams have pretty solid defenses. Both offenses are solid too, though, in their own right. So more so efficient. So I wouldn't mind predicting this game to go over. Let's go ahead and dig into it. So we're going to go with injuries first. Running backs always looking pretty thin for the Patriots, but it's going to be Damien Harris, Rhamondre Stevenson is all you really care about. And then from the Buffalo Bills side, you've got pretty much everybody healthy except for somebody that you've never heard of. So we're not going to worry about that too much. It's nice to have a clean bill of health in these sort of games. Let's head over right to our optimal results. So we have Josh Allen appearing in 50% of the flex and 30% at captain. So roughly 86.6% total lineups. As with every Buffalo slate that we've done this year, it's going to be pretty much 75-85% Josh Allen lineups, and it's not really worth fading him. So it's just pretty much a 4 or 5 person slate and try to figure out how to get unique elsewhere in the lineup, especially when you utilize him at captain. You have to figure out, how do I stack Josh Allen and still be unique? One of those ways is usually stacking him with like 5 Buffalo receivers, just overly stacking them for a Buffalo onslaught. That's one of the only ways that you can get kind of unique. And usually, if you exclude Diggs from that, you get really unique. So, a couple weeks ago, I think I was stacking Josh Allen with Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, Dawson, Knox, and Matt Breida, and that tended to work out well. Next, we have Stefon Diggs, 38.5% in the flex, 13% at captain. We've got Mac Jones, 41% in the flex, 7% at captain. The underdog quarterbacks have been underutilized all season, and it continues to pay off. I mean, just last night, Teddy Bridgewater scored the same amount of points as Patrick Mahomes at less than half the ownership. So there's easy to take advantage of that, especially with Mac Jones playing reasonable. So Mac Jones ownership is probably still going to be around 30 to 40%. He's appearing in 41% of our lineups. Devin Singletary, 41% in the flex, 6.6% at captain. Cole Beasley, 34% in the flex, 7% at captain. Jakobi Meyers, 29% in the flex, 6% at captain. You're going to notice a trend here. The Patriots receivers are going to be a lot less rostered than the Buffalo receivers, or appearing in less lineups, but they're going to be less rostered as well. So it's going to be unique to see if you can, or it's going to be important to see if you can get unique by rostering the correct New England Patriots receivers. Of course, Jakobi Meyers is going to get plenty of volume. Dawson Knox is appearing in 27% of lineups, 3% of captain. Rhamondre Stevenson, 27% of lineups, 3% of captain. Damien Harris, 21% of lineup, 3% of captain. Just take a look for a second here and look how many people are featured in over 2% of captain. That's something you don't see very often, and that's good. That's what we want. That even captain distribution is what you want because it makes it easier to be unique, and especially if you have somebody you like. So if you're a big fan of Damien Harris and you see him at 3% of captain, go ahead and have him at 9, 10, 15% of your lineups at captain if you're running 2, 3, 20 maxes, and you're going to be well over the field because there's going to be so much scattered ownership from people who don't have tight captain pools. Next, you're going to have Damien. Well, I mentioned Damien Harris, 21% in the flex, 3% at captain. So he's just significantly more expensive than Rhamondre Stevenson, who has been closing the gap in terms of usage. Then you have Matt Breida down here, 20% in the flex, 2.2% at captain. Matt Breida was a great play a couple weeks ago when he was only 3,200. Unfortunately, this week they doubled his price, 6,600, and he's actually more expensive by 2,000 than Devin Singletary. So pretty much just flipped the theory there. So a couple weeks ago, it was important to play Matt Breida because he was so much cheaper than Devin Singletary. Now Devin Singletary is 2,000 less than Matt Breida, and you see Devin Singletary appearing at 41.7% of lineups. So it makes sense. Both of them are getting workloads. It's just that Matt Breida is $2,000 more now, so probably going to end up playing a lot of Devin Singletary. Nelson Agholor is one of my favorite plays every time there's a Patriots slate, and he's only 3,000. So he's appearing in 20% of lineups, as opposed to Kendrick Bourne, who has been incredible of late. I mean, I've got him in almost every dynasty league, so it's nice that he's finally panning out. He did well for me one preseason DFS, and I just stuck with him for years. So Kendrick Bourne finally paying off. He's at 8,600, huge price tag for him. So his ownership might be pretty low. And if you're going to go the way I think I'm going to end up going, it's going to be a lot of Patriots 4x2s. I'll run Josh Allen naked and hope that he scores 2 touchdowns on the ground with Patriots 5x1s. So Kendrick Bourne's going to have really low ownership, and he's going to fit really well in those builds. We only have him appearing in 20% of lineups with 3% at captain. Hunter Henry, one of my favorite players in Dynasty, he is 18.5% in the flex, 2.2% at captain. Now we're down to the Bills, the Patriots, Jonnu, things like that. Jonnu is appearing in 14% of lineups, worth noting. Gabe Davis appearing in 10%, worth noting as well. Probably not the week to play the Patriots defense. For one, they're expensive. For two, they're going to be owned. So, yes, they're appearing in 14% of lineups, but Buffalo is a pretty solid offense. And I just never recommend playing a defense when they're going to be owned. If anything, maybe play the Bills defense at a little bit less ownership, something like that. Let's head over to our custom lineups. So you see Josh Allen is the top, 8? So you're going to see Josh Allen in 70% of our captain lineups, our captain builds. So if you want to just be overweight on Josh Allen at captain and just say, look, I'm going to eat the chalk at captain with Josh Allen, and I'm just going to get super unique in my lineups. That's certainly a viable strategy. Just make sure that you have, 5x1s or 4x2s leaning in Buffalo. You don't want to go 3x3 with really high ownership. Just try to stick to unique lineup construction. Keep your ownership down if you're going to roster Josh Allen at captain on this slate. So the first lineup is going to be Josh Allen at captain, Devin Singletary, Cole Beasley, Hunter Henry, Mac Jones, and Dawson Knox. It's actually not too incredibly chalky. It's a pretty decent lineup. So you're going to have to take that build and just kind of say, how many players can I plug and play into this? So you don't have Stefon Diggs in that lineup. So that's good. And then you've got Mac Jones stacked with one of his receivers that might not be super rostered. So Jakobi Meyers is probably going to be the most rostered receiver for the Patriots. Hunter Henry might be second. You might see Agholor sneak up to the second most rostered receiver for the Patriots just because he's so cheap. So if Hunter Henry is going to be the third most rostered receiver for the Patriots, great play there. We'll look at one more with Stefon Diggs and see how unique you can get there. So Josh Allen, Stefon Diggs, Cole Beasley, Devin Singletary, Buffalo Bills with Rhamondre Stevenson. That lineup's probably unique enough as well. I mean, you've got the Bills defense stacked in your onslaught, so that makes a lot of sense. Love playing Devin Singletary. You've got Cole Beasley that's probably going to have maybe the third most ownership, depending on where Dawson Knox comes in. And then you've got Stefon Diggs. So obviously you're going to have a ton of ownership plugged into Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs. Anytime you start your lineup this week with Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs, just you want to feel gross about the rest of your lineup. So probably even more unique than the lineup I just gave you is what you want to do if you're going to start your lineup with Josh Allen and Stefon Diggs. Let's find a non-Josh Allen captain to go over. Stefon Diggs at captain, Mac Jones, Nelson Agholor, Josh Allen, Hunter Henry, Devin Singletary. I almost never go 3x3, but again, I don't really mind this lineup. You've got Diggs at captain, so you're definitely going to want to have Josh Allen. Probably going to have Josh Allen in every lineup anyways. Devin Singletary, probably my favorite play of the slate. Mac Jones and Nelson Agholor. I already mentioned I love playing Nelson Agholor. He's just too cheap. I always play him on Showdown slates. He's always around 27% ownership. And then Hunter Henry is going to be second or third, depending on how Nelson Agholor ends up being. Think back to the Broncos game last night. There was essentially no ownership on Sutton or Judy last night. It was like 16 and 19% respectively because so many people were playing Chiefs players. I mean, Tyreek Hill was close to 80%. Travis Kelce was, I think, 65%. So the underdog team got basically overlooked because people just couldn't play him because they just didn't fit. So that might happen with Nelson Agholor, Hunter Henry, and the Patriots receivers with so much ownership around Stefon Diggs, so much ownership around Dawson, Knox. Sanders and Cole Beasley are both viable, might end up with a solid amount of ownership. So let's try getting pretty unique. This is a fantastic lineup. Jakobi Meyers at captain, Mac Jones, Jonnu Smith, Devin Singletary, Stefon Diggs, Josh Allen. Still 3x3, but again, you're getting unique because you have Stefon Diggs and Josh Allen. Jonnu Smith is going to have low ownership and he's cheap. And then Jakobi Meyers at captain with all that volume. Don't mind that at all. Devin Singletary at captain with Nelson Agholor. Stefon Diggs, Josh Allen, Mac Jones, Cole Beasley. So you're noticing you're not going to get a lot of 4x2s with four Patriots. So if you want to go that route, which I think I will, you're going to have to edit your inputs, which I do every week. So I always tweak my inputs. I guess a little background on that for anyone that cares. I go to my optimal results and I check my ownership compared to how much people are appearing in our simulation. And if I like the difference a lot, if I see a low owned player that's appearing quite a bit in the simulations, I'll go over to the inputs and I'll just bump their projections a little bit and take away from some of the players that I don't want in my lineup. So that a lot, maybe they're chalky, maybe they're just their projections don't meet their price tag. So you might as well just bump them out, and that will kick them out of a lot of your optimal lineups, and then that'll put the players you want in your optimal lineups in a bunch of your optimal lineups. So like yesterday, I bumped Noah Fant's projection and I took some off Judy and some off Sutton to get more Tim Patrick. That's one way you can get the simulator to give you a bunch of custom lineups that you like. So if you want more Patriots, you're probably going to have to give the Patriots more points, and then change your target distribution, probably take some from Jakobi Meyers, or if you know that you don't want any Kendrick Bourne, you can just kind of nuke his projection and kind of distribute it elsewhere. It's not viable for actually creating real projections, but for using this tool, that's going to get the players you want into more lineups and keep a tighter player pool. Last thing we'll go over is our projections. Josh Allen, 21.7. You see that he's a 7.7 median points above the second highest projection, which is Stefon Diggs. Both of their ownership is going to be egregious, and you basically have to play Josh Allen, but you don't have to play Stefon Diggs. As a matter of fact, Mac Jones is going to have a lot less ownership than Stefon Diggs, and he's going to save you $600. So instead of going a ton of Josh Allen, Stefon Diggs lineups, go a ton of Josh Allen, Mac Jones lineups. See if you can get 2 to 3 New England Patriots viably in your lineup, and then stack Josh Allen in a more unique manner, maybe with a running back, maybe with Breda and Singletary, something unique to separate you from the field. As mentioned, Mac Jones, 14.5, Cole Beasley, 12.6, Devin Singletary, 11.8, Jakobi Meyers, 11. So if Jakobi Meyers comes in at really high ownership, you've got a nice pivot to Devin Singletary, and then stacking Josh Allen with a running back is going to get a little bit unique as well. Damien Harris, you have 10.5, but Rhamondre Stevenson is 9.5, significantly cheaper. So depending on how ownership works out, it's probably going to be a ton of Rhamondre Stevenson and not a lot of Damien Harris. Dawson Knox, 9.4, Kendrick Bourne, 9. So why are you really playing Kendrick Bourne over Dawson Knox? You're just going to have to play Dawson Knox with Josh Allen. Matt Breda, 9 points. So he's being projected slightly less than Devin Singletary, but he is significantly more. So basically, the only time you're playing Matt Breda is for ownership, or if you like to play two running backs like me, you might play Singletary and Breda. Emmanuel Sanders, 8.5. Hunter Henry, 7.5. You've got kickers, Tyler Bassett at 7 and Nick Folk at 7. Brandon Bolden actually being projected 7 at 3,200 is pretty nice. Someone you're going to want to check out. I didn't mention him a ton. Nelson Agholor at 3% is being projected 7. Last player I want to mention actually is Jonnu Smith. I was looking for. He's 5.4. He's 2,400. His ownership's always less than 20%. So he's a decent dart throw. Even Harry at 200, sure, but probably not going that low when you have Gabe Davis at 12 projected 4, 1,200 projected 4, and you have Jonnu Smith 2,400 projected 5.4, especially when you want to try to stack New England. Throw Jonnu Smith in there. Maybe you get to a touchdown and you've got a cheap stack for New England where you still get to play Josh Allen and an expensive Buffalo Bill. But that's going to be it for me today. Thank you all for joining me. I'm sorry I didn't have you on the last 3 slates. I was traveled across country and trying to get my finals done. So it was a rough week for me, but I'm back, and good luck everybody with your Monday Night Showdown. Peace.